This sleeping mat claims to have an R value of 7.3. Now, equivalent sleeping mats from, say, Therm-a-Rest or Summit would cost you £200 to £250. 5 or 6 times the price of this mat. This is £40. I'm going to run it through a series of tests to find out if the R value is real or to find out if it's a marketing gimmick. And just before you click away, this has already been ASTM tested, which means that it's been validated using the standardized testing that Therm-a-Rest and Summit have used on their mats. What makes it special? If we plot some well-known sleeping pads on this scatter plot, we can see a clear trend: higher R value, higher price. But then we add the Bestway pad, and suddenly the whole plot falls apart. To validate their claim, I did what any skeptical gear nerd would do. Probably took this way too seriously and called up Bestway support line and awkwardly asked for the report. I have a ASTM report. After about an hour, a copy of the ASTM report landed in my inbox. According to the report, the pad actually scores higher than Bestway's own claim at a value of R-7.6. It was tested under ASTM F3340-22, the same industry standard used by high-end mats like Therm-a-Rest and others. I validated the test with SGS, and everything looks legit so far. But here's the thing, just because the number looks good on paper doesn't always mean that it translates to real-world performance. After all, an R value test is done in a controlled laboratory with ideal inflation, stable conditions, and no rough ground or shifting air inside the pad. There's only one way to know for sure. It's time to test things myself. So I put my tent up the wrong way, twice, but like super fast. Threw in 3 sleeping mats with wildly different R values and told my girlfriend that she would have to watch Come Dine With Me solo tonight because I had important experiments to conduct. In the garden. For science. YouTube science. Wow. The logistics of trying to film yourself at night as a brown man. Okay, so here's the plan. I've got 3 different sleeping mats all set up, all with different R values. I think this one's 5.3. It's the Big Agnes Rapide SL or Class MT 500. But this has got an R value of 1.5. And then I've got this Bestway mummy sleeping insulated magic bed. And the plan is to lay on each bed in sleeping conditions. So I've got my thermals on, I've got my sleeping bag, got my little down booties as well. Using temperature probes, one to record the ambient temperature, and then another on my chest to record my body heat and see how much heat I lose on each one. So I'm going to start off with the 4-class Decathlon one because I think I'm going to lose the most heat off of that. So let's give that a go and see what the results are. 20 minutes in, I'm cold. I'm not super duper cold, but I can start feeling it creeping in on my shoulders and my back and bum. First up, the Decathlon R1.5 mat went as expected. I lost body heat almost immediately after the first 10 minutes and it continued on that way across the hour. By the end of it, I was feeling the cold in my bones. Cold one on the Big Agnes, but not too bad in terms of thickness. Definitely more comfortable. Next up was the Big Agnes Rapide SL, a solid R4.2 mat. I've used it for years and know what to expect with the insulation. Much better than the Decathlon mat, but the true test was coming up next. So that was another hour done now on the Bestway mat, and to be honest, I don't even want to move. I'm so warm and cozy. So anecdotally, the mat does feel
very comfortable and very warm. It's not radiating heat. When I first said that, I think that was a misjudgment, but what it does feel like it's doing is effectively trapping heat between my sleeping bag and the mat itself. And in fact, if I just put my hand on the mat, it's really warm. So
finally, the Bestway mat, the moment we've all been waiting for, the one that claims to have the high-end winter performance for the price of a takeaway. Surprisingly, it did well. I could actually feel the heat staying trapped underneath my sleeping bag, and the temperature drop was noticeably slower. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, which is in itself slightly concerning. Now, by no means do I think that this was a perfect test. I'm just a man in a tent setting off the neighbour's dog with a temperature probe blue tacked onto my chest. But the results do indicate that the Bestway actually performs at the level that it claims to have. The design. The pad is constructed from a 70D nylon, which is supposed to be punch resistant, but it doesn't have a premium feel like other pads. But honestly, who is actually stroking their pads? The insulation that the pad uses, a Therm-a-Zone aluminiumized film, is supposed to reflect heat and provide insulation. And when I hold it up to the light, not that light, you can see that the film is there. One problem with that is that it does sound like you're laying on a bed of crisp packets. Listen to this and tell me, crisps or matte? Crisps or matte? The wide mummy shape is really good and only costs a few extra pounds. And finally, it does pack down kind of small. I weighed it in at 766 grams. I can already hear the ultralight folks gasping, but if you're a big, strong boy, girl, then you'll be alright. Leave them to sleep on their cardboard. Weirdos. Final verdict. If you remove the context that this pad is £40, it's good. But if you add in that context that it's £40, it's fantastic. Don't be scared off by the price, thinking that this is a dud. This could be a serious industry disruptor. Bestway isn't a specialist outdoor brand. They don't just make sleeping mats, they make pools, air mattresses, boats, anything that holds air. Their factories are already up to scale and set up to produce these items in high volume, which, thanks to the economy of scale, drives the cost per unit way down. So something I want you to think about, if this pad costs £150, £200, would you be less sceptical of the claims that it makes? Probably, right? But because this pad is £40, our brain automatically assumes that it's going to be cheap tat. And I disagree with that. The good things about this pad, it's warm, it's comfortable, and it costs the same amount as going out, having a few beers, getting a kebab and a taxi home.
Drinks, a kebab and a cab home. Where do you live in? 2008?
£40?
Yeah! A kebab's like £12.
Yeah, if you have a kebab, 3 pints, that's £30.
Are you talking about living in the northeast?
No, if you have a kebab, 3 pints, which let's say they're £4 each, so then you're at £24.
How much is a Madrid at that pub?
Like £4.50.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so you're at £24, and you've got £16 to get a taxi home.
Okay.
So anyway, I think this pad is pretty good. In the description for all the equipment that I've used in this video. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking it. My neglected girlfriend and Reynards will truly appreciate it. And I've also included some Reddit posts from people in the community that have done their own write-ups on this pad, because they believe that it's good as well. Well, actually, it's quite a mixed bag, but check it out for yourself. And until next time, goodbye.